Hey, welcome back to my channel. This is Jason, also known as Ominous Prime, and you're looking at Hikaru Ichijo, also known as Rick Hunter here in the States, from Macross. When it came over, it was Robotech. And the reason why I'm talking about that here, and you're like, I came here to watch something about Skyfire. Well, to get to that, I grew up in Okinawa for part of my life, and I was there from 1980 to 1984, the first time I was there. And this was the show that I watched on TV that got me to fall in love with transforming robots. And that was through the different versions of the Valkyrie that was out. And a bunch of kids I knew had them, and it was something that I wanted. I'd gotten like the small versions of it, but it wasn't like the full-on big robot that I saw my friends have. And so it was something that I was always kind of chasing down and wanted to get a hold of. And we had left Okinawa, and I was watching TV, and Robotech started to show, and I was like, oh, cool, this is in English. Now I can understand what's going on. I didn't know as a kid that they had changed a bunch of things, but it was something that was cool that, I felt something close to because I had seen it. And then in Transformers, they had these commercials here, and then a toy that appeared on the shelves for this guy, Skyfire. But it was called Jetfire, and I was confused because he looked like a Valkyrie. And we didn't get a toy for this guy. And all I could associate it with was this. And I couldn't get these here in the States either during that time. And so when Phoenix was released, and it's an amazing representation of Skyfire, it doesn't satisfy what I was looking for as far as Macross, because you can get those now, but this is an amazing representation for Skyfire from the cartoon. They did a lot of things to go ahead and make this look just about as close as you can get, but they added some interesting accessories here, like light piped eyes for a Masterpiece scaled Fans Toys product, which I don't believe was a thing with any other version. I don't know why they did this. And the other component of accessories here, and you can tell I've not opened these, is it has a swappable plate here. So if you wanted to have him switch from Decepticon to Autobot, you could do that. I mean, it's a play feature, and it's something that happened in the show. And then we have the rifle here, which is, a good ringer for what they did on the show. Doesn't have any of these details. These are Toy Hacks labels, or also known as Repro labels. And I got these and I put them on so I could add some detail on here because there's no paint on this. Now, this is the first run of Phoenix, and I know that there's an X version that was done where they added quite a bunch of needed paint. It's a lot more expensive than what I paid for to get this guy. And there's the added groove notch here that will fit perfectly in the hand there, so that's typical of Masterpiece. And taking a closer look here, you can see the kind of with a flat gray color here for his face, and the eyes are painted really well. But on the back of the head, the majority of the head is actually made for light piping, which is an odd choice. They didn't give you anything to swap that out with. But, these are decisions that they made in making this. There's not as much interesting detail on here as I would like, but I do like the feature of being able to swap that out. The added details here, again, are Toy Hacks labels, and I know that a lot of the people in the community would cringe of doing this to their own. This is something I chose to do because I like the added details, the decals that are on there, make it feel like more of a real-world jet, even though this is a fictional jet that doesn't, nothing like this exists. It's not really aerodynamic whatsoever. But I do like the labels on here. It reminds me of I had a Sky Striker from G.I. Joe, and they had all these kinds of decals all over it. So it reminds me of that in my childhood. And these are things that I customized with that made me like it more. And with this, I did want to go ahead and show you the scale of this guy because he's really big. And this is MP44. And he stands about 10 inches tall. And then we have Reboost here And you can see he's a bunch shorter. These are what the Takara Tomy Hasbro scale of vehicles are. And a lot of people are like, well, what should I have on my masterpiece shelf? Because if I can't find, Fans Toys Phoenix available, what do you do? And what a lot of people went ahead and did, and it's an affordable option because you couldn't get this, is you got Siege Jetfire, or also known as Warfare Cybertron Jetfire. And he's a bit shorter, but I did want to show you the scale of this guy so you can see the difference between the two and what you're getting. Because this guy was like $90 or $80 or $90 for Siege. And with him next to MP44, he makes a pretty good stand-in. And you can see the difference in height. It's still kind of close to the tune, but we have a Masterpiece 57 that's coming that should be a bit taller than this one here. Looking at the details here, you can see that they painted his face silver instead of a flat gray. But the eyes, they're narrow, they're light piped, and there's not much light that's going to get into there with the backpack and that little hole there. And you can see a lot of sculpted detail, and it has the same gimmick of being able to switch from Decepticon to Autobot, just like Phoenix has. But I like that you don't have to take something off to go and swap that out. But you can see there's so much added detail on here. It makes everything look interesting. It keeps your eye moving about on the spot. It's not toy or tune accurate, but it's still a good looking stand-in if you can't get Phoenix. And let's look at the accessories. He's got a chest plate. He's got a mask that looks like what you would have with a Valkyrie from Macross. So it scratches that itch for me that I enjoyed. And you can see with the colors here, that looks more like over here in the stateside, we called them Veritex, not Valkyries. And you get these added weapons that you can customize and put in 5mm ports here. And they're kind of all over the place. And you have these here, which are amazing pieces. I like them. And they're painted. And you can go ahead and attach them at different points here. This one down here works better for alt mode, but you can attach it there if you prefer. Or you can put them on the forearms like how I like to have it. And the weapons here for the battle rifle, they're about the same size between the two. And the sculpt detail, I would say, is pretty similar as far as like the amount of it, but this is painted in the front. There's no paint on this. And there's one additional feature here with this is with the battle rifle here, you can split it, change the handles down, and then you can go ahead and arm him up with more weaponry. And I know it's not tune accurate, but it's a cool feature, and it goes right into this 5mm port that pops out of the hand, and there you have it. And you can see it's a very different looking bot. So if you want more tune, you got Phoenix, and that's what he was designed to be on your masterpiece shelf, standing alongside your other bots like this. And he's got 4 articulation, head swivel. You can see quite a bit down as far as what's needed. You can get him into T-pose here. It doesn't quite go 90 all the way out. You have a bicep swivel, as much as you need there. And at the elbow here, it looks like he would stop right here at just about 90. But they made it so you can get a full range here because that forearm piece tucks right in and pops right back out. And I like that feature. That was a great piece of engineering to think of that. And with the hands, you get all the mobility that you would just about need in the hands. You get full articulation of the thumbs and the fingers. You can splay them out. And you can get pretty much any kind of hand gesture or any pose that you need to with the hands. And Fans Toys, when they hit it with the hands, they're not beaten by anybody else. And yeah, I give it a thumbs up. And there's no waist articulation whatsoever. There's no ab crunch. So those are things that are lacking, and this seems to be lacking with any Jetfire representation or Skyfire. Unfortunately, there's no hip skirt to the front that gives more range, so that's about it that you're going to get there. It gets about as much as you would need going back for like a human. But it only gets about that far out, and I guess they're going, he's a big, tall guy and doesn't need to be able to bend like that. There's also thigh rotation, but I'm not going to really show that here. You get 90 degrees here. I always wish for more articulation there so you can get a full bend. But here it's really disappointing. That's it. That's all you get there for the ankle rocker. You get toe tilt up quite a bit and down, but that's due to transformation. And on the heel, it can be moved if you need to, but again, that's for articulation. Looking at Siege's articulation, you get like the same range of movement here with the head, just about. You just can't look down, at least not as much. At the shoulders here, you do get more than 90 degrees up, just going up. And it keeps the sculpt, nothing looks odd. And you get a bicep swivel. And at the elbow, you get a decent range. It's, let me bring this down. You get more than 90. It's not as good as what you get with Phoenix, but it's decent. And with the hands, you get wrist rotation. You can open and close the hands. When you open it up, that 5mm port tucks away into the hand, which is a cool feature. It's not done with any other bot I've seen as of yet, and you can break the sculpt if you need to use the wrist to go out. They're just options. There's no waist rotation. There's no ab crunch. But you can move the hip skirt out, and you get what you should get out of the range going forward. Going back, it butts up against the backpack, but you get what you need out of that. And going out to the side, you get the full range that you need. And it's a friction joint, but it holds well enough. There is also thigh swivel there. And you get just 90 degrees bend. Again, I wish you had more. And then for the ankle rocker, you can get it there, but if you really need to, you can just go all the way out like this if you need to. It breaks the sculpt, but you can do it, which is better to have than not have. And due to transformation, you get a lot of range here with the heel and with the toe. All right, so they're both good options. And in alt mode, yeah, it looks good. You know, there's nothing to complain about here. There's a lot of sculpted detail on here. There's paint. There's a bunch of play features that are on here. You got landing gear. You have handles that drop out of the bottom for bots to grab onto. And let's go ahead and take a look here at Phoenix here. While I'm transforming, I wanted to show you this. This is one point that bothers me a lot about this is just about every reviewer that I saw that got this, before I even got mine, that post that connects the backpack snapped off. It's happened to just about everybody. And you have to pull the head first up and out. And you have to be careful with it. I mean, it's sturdy. They're known for their build quality, but you had to rotate it out so that the post would come out of this notch back here. But the post was too long. So they were just snapping right off. So I have this little nub that I created here, and it's able to connect it. But once you have it in alt mode like this, you can see you get a very clean alt mode. It's beautiful. There's not much, you know, that you could really complain about. There is weapon storage, and let me use a spudger real quick. If you don't have a spudger, I recommend having one because it really makes life easy. Well, easier when manipulating Masterpiece Transformers. Now, the weapon will store back here, and it's got this post that sticks out of the battle rifle. And unfortunately, it doesn't tuck that far back in to where it's flush. It'll sit further back on the jet, but at least there's a place to put the weapon so that you're not just leaving this off to the side. I wish it really sat further back on that. Now on the legs here, you can see that there's metallic red paint that doesn't match up with any red that's anywhere else on this. But other than that, it's a really good representation. I don't think anybody would be disappointed if they picked up Phoenix. In fact, I think you would be very pleased with Phoenix. It's a very good and sturdy built bot. It's just not made to really do any posing. So if you're looking for something that's dynamic, this isn't your guy. If you can't afford this guy, and again, this is how the weapon would store in the back. If you can't, and no one's to be ashamed that they can't afford picking up this guy, because the prices have gotten up there, especially since they haven't re-released it recently. You can get Siege, and Siege makes a good stand-in. He's a good height. It's got great build quality, a lot of accessories that you can put all together, and it stores like this. You can also store it in different ways. There's a lot of customizability due to the 5mm ports, but you can put them all together like this if you want to, and I don't think it looks bad. And you can even put the face shield inside here and store it. And then what you would do is with the single post back here is you're going to go ahead and plug it into a hole that's back here that's designed to go ahead and hold all of this together. And it just slides right in, and boom, you're armed. And everything is stored all in one spot that, if you need to. But a lot of people are looking at the newly announced Masterpiece and wondering what to do, which one should they have in their collection and how much things cost. And finding the Commander class Jetfire has gotten pricey now. Not as pricey as getting a Masterpiece Fans Choice Phoenix, but this one came out and people are saying it's over 300. It's not that much. You just need to look and see where to get it. I have mine pre-ordered through the Chosen Prime, but it's also available on Hasbro Pulse and Big Bad Toy Stores and other places. But look how dynamic this guy is, and the sculpt looks near tune perfect, and that's good for bot mode. For alt mode, you have this face mask that you can put here, so if you want more of a Valkyrie look to him, you can do that. And I love the ability to do something like that, and you can swap out the emblems if you want to do that, and it looks just as good as the comic version as well as the toon version. But if you decide to keep these, I can understand why you would. Neither of these are bad options at all whatsoever, but these aren't doing it for me. So I want to go ahead and get the new Masterpiece 57 Skyfire, and I'll keep these as well and have them all together. But if you're new to the channel and you're looking for either one of these, I would recommend going online. You're gonna have to go on to like eBay probably to find them. But if you're new to my channel, please subscribe. If you have any comments about it, go ahead and please go ahead and make a comment. And until next time, I'll see you. Bye.